Welcome back to the channel. Today, I will share with you a 2014 American science fiction movie named Robocop. Spoiler alert, this is just a brief summary, so please prioritize watching the movie to get the most authentic experience and emotions. The news TV show host is pointing out that every country in the world except for the United States is under high security with robots. The civilians there are rebelling against the militarized robots. They launch their attack and get themselves killed by the droids on the international TV show. Therefore, it fails the public support in the United States, where under the pressure the government has to pass a law forbidding deployment of militarized robots in America. It's definitely unpleasant to the boss of the OCP company. Back at the office, Sellers meets up with his partners. They're realizing that more than half of the country's population will not stand behind robots protecting their streets, so Sellers come up with a proposal for developing a mild cyborg police officer, which may change the public opinion towards such technology. But Dr. Norton, who's in charge of the search, says that only someone who is stable enough to handle high pressure can be turned into a cyborg. Meanwhile, Detective Murphy and Lewis are conducting an investigation over a local drug dealer named Antoine Vallon. They go undercover to crack down a shipment of illegal firearms, so they go to a restaurant to meet with Vallon as buyers. The meeting starts smoothly. Unfortunately, just as they're about to close the deal, somebody betrays Murphy and notifies Vallon by smartphone. Vallon immediately leaves the table just as a few cars pull up in front of the restaurant, and a group of gunmen armed with pistols and submachine guns open fire. After a lengthy exchange of gunfire, during which several henchmen are killed, Murphy escapes outside by jumping through a glass window into an alleyway. He uses a dumpster as a shield while advancing on and shooting at the henchmen. He kills two of them, and the remaining one escapes by foot. Lewis prepares to follow Murphy when a henchman hiding in the kitchen bursts out and fires on him. He manages to return fire and kill the henchman, but also gets shot in the shoulder. Murphy stays with him until an ambulance can arrive. At the Detroit Police Department, Murphy walks to a meeting with Chief Karen and two other cops, John Lake and Andre Daniels. Karen reprimands Murphy for the action last night for getting into a shootout and critically wounding Lewis. John and Andre are not happy with Murphy for intruding on their investigation into Vallon, but Murphy counters that their inability to produce and arrest Vallon after 2 years of investigation suggests them to be dirty. Karen reminds Murphy that he isn't supposed to carry out such an assignment without talking to her first. The next scene revealed to us that the two officers, John and Andre, are sure to be dirty. They meet Vallon at a bar, where he gently chides them for not warning him sooner. He considers bridging Murphy to getting in line. The two detectives think it would be easier to just kill Murphy, an idea that Vallon initially is hesitant to on the grounds of the increased attention he'll get from the cops. But John and Andre remind him that they're the ones who will be investigating him, so Vallon orders one of his men to plant a bomb in Murphy's car while he is visiting Lewis in the hospital. At night, Murphy goes back home depressed deeply. After putting his son to bed, Murphy and his wife start playing a meat injection game. While things are getting excited, and the car alarm goes off. Murphy goes downstairs to check the car, but he doesn't know the car alarm is a trap that lures him to a bomb explosion. Murphy is badly wounded, subjected to fourth-degree burns over his entire body. Both his legs and one arm have to be amputated. Dr. Norton and his medical team, seeing a perfect candidate for their project, convince Clara to give consent to use Murphy for the program. Hoping to make her husband Murphy stay alive, Clara agrees to sign off the procedure to make Murphy a candidate for the cyborg rebuild. 3 months later, Murphy wakes up and realizes his transformation. He gets upset and grabs Dr. Norton by the throat and throws him down. The medical team tries to shut Murphy down as he runs out of the room, but Dr. Norton tells them to let him go. Murphy continues to run until he hops over the wall of the facility and through a field before they're able to shut him down and bring back to the lab. Back in the lab, Dr. Norton shows Murphy just what is left of him. Only his head, heart, lung and brain are still intact. Murphy cannot believe what's happened to him. He feels collapsed and asks for euthanasia. But Mr. Norton reminds him that Clara signed the consent forms, so if they let him die, the work will have been for nothing. The next day, they put Murphy through combat training and are set to get familiar with his new body. During the combat training, Murphy proves unable to compete with the standard robots in efficiency due to human emotions involved. Dr. Norton explains that he is the one carrying out these actions, not the program. But Sellers seems to care only about the efficiency, so he orders Norton to get rid of the emotion thing. So the doctor alters the programming to make Murphy more efficient by having the programming take over his actions. This increases his efficiency dramatically, but also makes him less empathetic due to his human nature being bypassed. The boss feels very satisfied with the update and cannot wait any longer to unveil such a new kind of robotic cop to the public. Dr. Norton drives Murphy home for the first time. He receives a warm welcome from Clara and David. Even though his new appearance has changed, they still love him. A public press conference is held to present the news and reformed Murphy to the city. When Murphy is downloading police database information, which include the crime scenes of his being killed in the car bomb explosion, Murphy turns so emotional that he almost breaks down due to the overload. Dr. Norton catches him and is pressed by his medical team to find a solution in a matter of minutes. There is no other choice. Norton has to remove his emotions entirely. Murphy walks out to find Clara and David waiting for him. David says hello to his dad, but Murphy just continues walking with no expression. Once he steps out before the public, he starts scanning the crowd for criminals with warrants. Things escalate as he spots one man in the crowd, Thomas King, who is wanted for murder. Murphy calls the man out to arrest him. King begins to run until Murphy hops into the crowd and shoots him with a taser round to the back, knocking him down. Murphy goes on to reduce crimes in Detroit dramatically while simultaneously increasing public support for such a new kind of robot cop. He patrols through the city on his motorcycle. He catches a few totally stoned junkies, getting one to tell him where Big's drug lab is. Murphy finds the lab and storms in, gunning down Bug's goons. Biggs tries to run but Murphy has him cornered. He tries to throw a grenade at Murphy, but he gets shot in the leg and drops it, blowing himself up in the process. Days later, Murphy is stopped on the street by Clara. She pleads for him to hear her as she tells him that David is traumatized and is having nightmares. Although Murphy seemingly ignores her, moments later, he can't help but tap into CCTV footage to see reporters hounding Clara and David as she tries to take him to school. Realizing how much he's become distant from his family, Murphy rides back to his home and inspects the crime scene where his car blew up. He reviews the security footage that recorded the blast, and is further dismayed to realize that David witnessed his burning body, leaving him fearful, anxious, and distressed. Alex recovers his human emotions back to normal, which pushes him to fight for revenge. To start, Murphy goes back to Jerry White, the gun dealer who first told him about Valen being behind the gun trafficking. He tracks Jerry down and pulls him out of his car to interrogate him. Jerry initially resists and tries to avoid giving him answers until Murphy breaks his hand and gets him to give up the identity of a man on Valen's crew that he's in contact with. Using his access to the phone company records, Murphy is able to locate Valen's warehouse. As he rides over to the warehouse, someone tips off Valen to Alex's impending arrival. Valen rallies his men to grab guns and ready to fight. Valen turns the lights off and wears night vision goggles, hoping to make it harder for Murphy. They open fire as Murphy blows down the doors with his motorcycle. In the barrage, Murphy gets his suit shot and his visor broken, but he kills all of Valen's remaining gunmen and Valen. Murphy picks up a gun from one of the fallen soldiers and scans it for fingerprints, picking up prints from John and Andre. Murphy returns to the police station. He interrogates John and Andre, showing the meeting through every monitor in the station to prove their involvement in the bombing. Andre tries to shoot Murphy, but gets shot in return. After that, John admits Karen was involved with both the shootout at the restaurant and the car bomb. He tases John and goes to confront Karen. Before he can get a confession out of her, he is remotely shut down by the OCP company, who seems to care only about the business and tries to cover the crimes for its VIP clients. The government soon allows the deployment of robot cops in the United States. Sellers is worried Murphy's behavior would greatly damage the company's reputation, so he sends medics out to destroy Murphy. However, Dr. Norton takes off the transmitter placed in Murphy and reveals to him the truth. Murphy narrowly escapes out from the lab and goes straight to OmniCorp headquarters. He flips his motorcycle into the building and gets the attention of two ED-209 droids. They shoot at Murphy, but he gets them to shoot at each other. A third droid is caught in the chaos and falls from a great height, and Murphy's left arm is caught beneath it. As more droids come in, Murphy is forced to grab a submachine gun and shoot his left arm off. The droids shoot at him, bringing him down. Lewis runs in and stands in front of him, giving Alex a chance to run. Murphy makes it to the rooftop of the building as Sellers is waiting for a helicopter. Clara and David were kidnapped and held hostages. Murphy orders the latter two to stand down, and they comply. He attempts to arrest Sellers for trying to kill a police officer, but Sellers is wearing a red asset bracelet, and therefore Murphy cannot shoot him. Sellers aims his gun at Murphy, and then at Clara and David. This gives Murphy enough of a push to override his program and shoot Sellers. As Sellers dies, Clara and David rush to Alex. A while later, Alex is given a new repaired suit and lives happily ever after. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest video.